About 2 years ago, my company, The Vault, decided to expand into the remaining footprint of the building that you sit inside of today. I had a background in interior architecture, and as the community manager at the time, it was only natural for me to take charge in sourcing all of the furniture, designing the remaining space, and really making it what it was going to become. It was really exciting. I was conceptualizing and ordering furniture and putting it all together. But there was one room that posed to be a particular challenge. It was this kitchen space that was kind of awkward, really long and narrow in depth. So I thought, sure, I could get a bunch of like IKEA tables and scatter them around. But this light bulb came on and I was like, oh, I should just get this really long, gargantuan, protracted in size communal table, because there's something really powerful about having one platform where a bunch of people could gather to converse and eat and drink and collaborate communally. So I went on this mission. I'm calling around to a bunch of different furniture manufacturers, and I would get on the phone and be like, so, do you have like a Last Supper worthy, like huge table that would accommodate the 12 disciples plus Jesus? So that's like 13 total. And they would kind of stop me in my tracks and I could hear their expressions through the phone line. So at that point I realized, well, A, it's probably a bad idea to measure furniture sizing with biblical references, and B, I should probably take this as an opportunity to build the table myself. So here I was, without any furniture design background, embarking on the quest to build the perfect Last Supper sized table. Luckily, I have a friend who is a carpenter. Coincidentally, his name is also Andy Hammer. And Andy Hammer and I were like, okay, where do we begin? Let's source all the materials. And I had this great vision. I'm like, it's going to be a reclaimed wood table with like lots of gnarly holes, and it'll look really industrial, you know, kind of a knockoff of a Restoration Hardware table. But we're going to do it ourselves. So we started sourcing all of the materials. And in thinking about how to assemble it, the symbolism of the parts that create a whole started to come out to me and really express itself as the same way that I start to build a community. And so we approached it in a similar fashion. We took the foundation. We needed to build legs. This became clear to me that the legs were like the values that a culture is built upon that brings a community together. And then I needed some support system. I needed to give it structure, make it whole and hold together. And this was like that sense of belonging and loyalty and commitment you have when you're in something together with a group of people. And then came the planks of wood, beautiful individual planks, roughly hewn and all unique, each with imperfections. Those imperfections making each one more and more interesting. Together, they became something greater than themselves by being together as a whole. And you needed to make sure that they would stick together, so you get nails, you hammer them in. Those nails making each plank side by side accountable for each other, giving the whole system integrity. So in thinking about that table and my upbringing and my life and where I landed today in front of you as a community builder, there are tables in my life that have become so evident as like the incentives for me to forge a path in building community. And each story tells me why, and will tell you hopefully why as well. What community is so important to me. So it starts with my upbringing. I'm from Massachusetts, a really rural town, and my parents are incredibly liberal. I mean, as like the polar opposite of strict. I mean, it was my house where my friends would come over to gorge on candy until like the wee hours and watch like way too much TV and run amok in the backyard, listen to music with lyrics that we didn't have the life experience to comprehend. So it was like, just do as you will, Meg, like, she'll take care of herself, like dirt don't hurt. So I had hardly any rules. And if they did try to enforce rules, my precocious young self would do everything that I could to break them. Except for one. There's always an exception. At 6 p.m. every evening, my brother, my mother, my father, and I were expected to congregate in formation around this simple pine table with 4 green farmhouse chairs. No one was allowed to answer the phone if it rang. You never were allowed to make an exception and go to your friend's performance, or, maybe I wanted to play soccer. I wasn't allowed to play soccer because it would go past 6 p.m. They were militant in enforcing this rule that we had to eat dinner together Monday through Friday. So I would go cross my arms over my stomach and sit there and squeal and not really appreciate what it was giving to me. And now I can step back and look at it, and even though it was a forced situation, it taught me the value in bringing people together consistently in like the most primitive way that we can bring people together, which is breaking bread. It gave me the opportunity to watch my family evolve and grow day to day, understand the nuances of their lives, and then reinforce the family dynamic. And then, I grew up. At a certain point, I was able to get up from the table. And actually, I should say that I fled the table. I ran as fast as I could away from that thing. And immediately after graduating college, it couldn't have been more time than uttering the word goodbye that I had packed up my bags, walked out the door, and opened myself to this new life in San Francisco. I really didn't have a huge plan for myself other than wanting to be as far away from what was familiar as possible. I wanted to force myself to learn who I was going to become by being in an unfamiliar and strange environment. I wanted the feeling that you get when you're in a new country and you're forcing yourself to kind of discover who you are by reiterating, like, hello, my name is Meg, over and over and over again, until suddenly you start to realize this person that's inside of you. You have the opportunity to tell your story again. So here I am in San Francisco, audacious and bold and 21. The sky's the limit. I can do anything. Except I'm broke and alone and I don't have my family or my friends, and okay, let's sink or swim. I don't want to sink. So I needed to get a job. Actually, I needed 2 because San Francisco is expensive, even back in 2007. So 2007, I get a job as an interior designer during the day at a small firm, which happens to be right around the corner. And I needed a job at night as well to sustain my life, so I got a job at a restaurant. Now, I don't know if any of you have worked in restaurants before, but it's not very glamorous. And there are some significant downfalls, like if you're working 30 hours in the evenings in addition to having a day job or going to school, you don't have much of a social life. So I didn't have an opportunity to go out and forge this new circle of friends. And since you're working so much, you also have to work nights when people typically would be sharing holidays with their family. So November comes around and I walk into my restaurant and my manager gives me the schedule, and I look down and I see that I'm scheduled for Thursday, November 27th, also known as Thanksgiving. It's like, okay, deep breath. All right, I'm gonna be fine. So I get to work and I'm going through the motions as best as I could. I'm crumbing tables and opening countless bottles of wine, neatly folding napkins, and just sullenly taking orders. Like I had never wanted to be at that pine table with my family that was forced and sitting there and just with my hands over my stomach like never before. And it was all for a bunch of European tourists that didn't understand the American tipping system, didn't know that I wanted to be at home for Thanksgiving, and they certainly didn't want to eat turkey. So I got through it the night. I powered through as best that I could, and it was difficult. At the end of the evening, I wanted to get out of there as fast as I could, but everyone decided that we would eat together as a staff and have our own family meal. So with the rest of the menu items that hadn't been ordered, they put together this smorgasbord. And we sat together around this long table, and suddenly people, what normally is a really fast 20-minute, let's scarf this down so I can get the hell out of Dodge, became this 4-hour unveiling of who everyone was. And we had the opportunity to talk about each other's lives, what else we were doing besides the restaurant, who we wanted to be, where were we going. And I took a step back and realized, I just found my San Francisco family. Like, this is the first circle of support that I have here. So I continued to work at the interior design firm for about a year, and then it was given the opportunity at that restaurant to become the general manager. And I took it because I realized, straddling both careers, that I had received so much joy from working with people, and especially that family. And I was able to learn how to hone my skills in people management and give people a great employee experience. And it really teed me up for this transition, which led me to help open the vault. So here we are in the vault. And I am able to curate a community of early stage technology companies and entrepreneurs that work better together by leveraging the network around them because of that restaurant experience. Each startup here, there are a couple people here in the audience that are here in support of me. I truly believe, and it's a testament to community, that they get a lot of value out of this space, more so than other co-working spaces that are in the city, because we put the community at the forefront of our focus. It's very intentional. So there was one night about a year ago where I was sitting at that protracted, long, Last Supper-worthy table and drinking some wine with a fellow member. This member started a company which is a crowdfunded publishing platform for authors who can't publish their books in the traditional route, either because of no access to capital or they just don't have the network to get it published. So I think it was at the point where we were, halfway into the bottle discussing the children's book that he was publishing about a cat wearing pajamas, that another member came over. And this member joined us in the bottle of wine. And as our lips became increasingly purple, he started to discuss his frustrations with not being able to scale his company, which was a product management course. He wanted to be able to take his curriculum and reach more people and make a difference. And it dawned on us as we're sitting around this table that there was an opportunity there for the owner and the founder of the product management course to write his curriculum and have it published on the crowdfunding publishing platform. And there it was born, this collaboration. And then I thought, oh, wait, actually, there's a videographer here that could use his videography platform and film a digital marketing video to advertise this product. And right there, it was obvious, it was palpable, the potential and the power of community. So there was the forced table at my family's house, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. There was that accidental Thanksgiving ad hoc meal, and that table that started my first San Francisco family. And then this intentional table that supports the companies here, that have helped me realize how invaluable community is and helped me forge my path to continue to build them for the rest of my life. Opportunities, mentorship, support, or love, all of this abounds when you open yourself up to realizing you are only the sum of the people you surround yourself with. So I ask all of you today, how big will you make your tables?